And we are live again from the state of Ohio as the World Ultimate Club Championships have returned to the United States for the first time in 16 years when it was out in Hawaii. It is day one, round 5, final game of the day. And on the showcase field, we've got a matchup of Central America versus South America. It is a Pool A men's division clash. Colombia, Euforia, and Mexico, Fenix, alongside Emmy Fitzgerald, who has seen this Mexican Fenix team at sectionals and regionals in Texas in recent years. I am Evan Lepler, and let's talk about the growth of Mexican Ultimate, because Colombia has established itself as a world power in recent years, qualifying for the World Games 2 years in a row. Mexican Ultimate is in a different spot, and yet they've tried to build by playing against better competition, and that's how you've gotten a chance to see them play.
Exactly. This Fenix team has won the Mexican national title something like 9 years running, but they realized they needed to expand outside of just their Mexican player set, and the way you get better is you play against the best. So they've started coming actively to the USA Ultimate South Central regionals. They come to Texas sectionals, and they play some stiff competition. This past year, the 2017 men's regional, they went 1-4, but there were valuable experiences, some ultimate point games, some fairly close games, and that is experience that they're able to then apply, as this is their third WUCC appearance. And
this Euforia team from Bogota, the capital of Colombia, enters this game at 1-0. They picked up a victory in their first game of the day. That was over Mooncatchers from Belgium. Mexican Fenix squad lost to Australia Hot Chili 15-5. It's Fenix in the red on offense as we get started. Emmy, the wind has certainly picked up as the afternoon has progressed here in Lebanon, Ohio.
It has. The day started with a lot of overcast, rarely any wind.
First run through D of the day for Jose Jimenez of Colombia.
And right away, Euforia is knocking on the doorstep to get the first break of the game.
Tremendous athletic layout to keep possession alive. And now on the brink of the end zone, I believe that was Julian Bonilla that saved possession. Just arriving at the fields today, walking around and seeing the acrobatic bids on every point, the passion and energy from every team. It's a welcome to world sight when you see that early in the game. Wakes everybody up.
Absolutely, and these Colombian teams across the board love those athletic grabs.
On another tough one-handed snag and then into the end zone. This Colombian team is on the board. Juan Manuel Amarillas with a nice stab and then dish for the goal, and it's a quick break for Euforia. And they certainly are looking ahead. They've got big games coming up tomorrow against, of course, Australia's Hot Chili, but even more notably, Revolver from the United States, the favorite #1 seed in the tournament. So this is a game Euforia would love to get in, play well, take care of business quickly.
And when you're in these earlier games in pool play at a tournament that's this long as well, you are able to try some things out. You still need to take care of business, but prepare yourself, keep yourself from injuries also when you go in then to play someone like Revolver. And then when you play Revolver, there's so much you can learn from a team like that and all of their perennial success.
Revolver's 2-0 right now in Pool A. A couple of 15-6 results over Mooncatchers from Belgium and Hot Chili from Australia. Certainly a Canadian flavor on this Colombian team. 6 Canadians, in fact, on the squad. Fenix has a couple expats themselves. Holden Cookson from Maine out there on this particular point. This is Cookson. Swings the disc for one. Rodriguez in the Fenix turnover near the goal line. Not going to get the job done.
Certainly, Fenix hoping to keep the disc at this end of the field with a turnover to try to convert again.
Euforia draws the foul. Jean Caicedo. Swing it over to Joseph Genet. One of the Canadians on this team. There's another Jean-Philippe Riopel. Tremendous red zone defense from Fenix to force the turnover. And you can credit Rodrigo Zeleny with the block.
He read that so well coming into the space.
Oh, it looked like for a moment that Gonzalez had it, and he's calling a strip. Columbia player ripped it away, certainly higher. Game advisors will give their input, and the players will determine the call.
And the disc has to have stopped rotation and be in full possession of the offense to stand.
They are going to give it back to Ulises Gonzalez, who's one of two part of the multiple brotherly sets on the team. Ulises and his brother David, Manuel and Rafael Oseguera. Also got Sergio Ramirez and Luis Arturo Ramos, cousins. This shot goes up, and it's great defense in the end zone from Genet.
Turning into a long point. Several turnovers on both sides of the disc.
Certainly not the easy way that Euforia was hoping to get through this game. It's been a long point. And injury downfield into the game, Jose Jimenez for Euforia. By the way, certainly last round, plenty of big games in the men's division. Some of the 1 and 2 seeds going head-to-head. We saw Australia Colony come from 3 goals down as we see a shoulder-high layout. But it looked like a foul. Ulises Gonzalez soaring through the air and into the back of Columbia's Talor Stale. And the foul will stand. Athletic play, maybe a little dangerous. Check it out.
I think that was the right call to make there.
Colony coming back to beat Chalk. Also last round, in a reversal of the championship game at Windmill Windup, Italy's Cusp, CUSB, the Italian team from Bologna, takes down Clapham, the top seed in that pool from Great Britain, 15-10. Has to be the biggest upset of day one.
I think it probably is. Another a fairly exciting upset was Brilliance taking down Yaka in pool play also.
I was thinking men's division, but that you're absolutely right. And they thoroughly dismantled the French ladies. This disc near the sideline, and it's caught by two Euforia players, and they both were out of bounds. If only the field were 42 yards wide instead of 40 yards wide.
They were both there. They're both had a hand on the disc.
Yeah, I think this one's on the thrower. So kind of a shaky start after a very quick and easy break. Euphoria, the 2017 Columbia National Champs. Team was founded back in 2003. First played Worlds at 2010 in Prague, finishing 18th. They fell down a little bit in Lecco. Nice recovery there on the mark. Sergio Ramirez, the captain for Fenix, with the disc.
Can tell both teams are really, really eager to score this point. Sometimes that results in some nerves, pick calls, some aggressive plays resulting in fouls. Two players, hands on the disc.
Francisco Sentiés. Ulises Gonzalez. Fenix in the red from Mexico City. They beat Malachi in the finals of Mexican Nationals this past year in Guadalajara. They say their goal for the World Championships here is to finish in the top 20. They enter as a 25 seed. And that would be a massive jump from where they were 4 years ago and 8 years ago when they finished 39th and 44th, respectively, out of 48 teams.
But that's what's so important for the growth of the sport. Keep challenging yourself, set those reach goals as well. And they've had additional successes since the last WUCC championships.
Gonzalez defending. Saicedo highly involved in the Euforia offense. It took a while, but finally Columbia puts it in. That's a break. The second of the game for Euforia, 2-0.
The spacing that the handlers and the cutters had in their end zone offense was really nice. That allowed for that room for those various strike cuts to really make it work, and then kept other defenders coming in for those poach looks. That pass, there wasn't a way for that defender to get there.
Jean Saicedo into the end zone for Jose Jimenez. Jimenez just 21. Member of the Colombian U24 team that played in Perth this past January. And he's got the goal to double the early lead for Colombia. Now 4 years ago in Lecco, Euforia finished behind Comunidad El Oso. They were 24th and 26th respectively. They're both strong teams. Colombia, a country that can produce multiple strong teams, obviously, in multiple divisions. But Euforia certainly with higher hopes this time around. They say their goal is to finish in the top 16. They've added the half dozen players from Canada. Fenix taking the shot. This one hanging in the air. And the poach D coming in to save the day. I believe that was Felipe Bojorquez.
Such a great read from Bojorquez. with that interception.
So racing into the play to deny Fenix the opportunity. And now that's Dan Turcotte. I was impressed with Turcotte's Espanol down on the field before the game. Could have mistaken him for being from Colombia or from Mexico.
That's a high compliment. I have friends who've picked up with the MEX team from Mexico back in Lecco, and my friend didn't speak any Spanish. I said, well, how did you manage? He said, well, I just figured it out because they didn't speak any English on the field.
There's a language of ultimate that tries to transcend these barriers, and it's not an uncommon problem in an event like this, even without having expats on your team. I was reading about the Indian team, Stall 7, who will be covering tomorrow, and that roster has all Indians for the most part, 6 different local dialects spoken. They try to speak in English, but even that is not a unifying force for the Indian mixed team that we'll see tomorrow against Great Britain Black Eagles.
And I see that language element as more of a challenge to help increase your chemistry that much more. Because you have to. The nonverbal communication is just so important. Such fast disc movement, too, from Euforia.
Turcotte fires end zone, 3-0. Euforia. Jubilation from the Columbia sideline. That's 3 consecutive breaks to seize control early in this pool play game here in Lebanon, Ohio.
Catch it early. Help us teach kids about cancer symptoms through Ultimate Frisbee clinics. Join us and speak up.
So Fenix has run into a bit of a buzzsaw, and they will try to bounce back. Certainly far easier said than done when you consider the talent and the growth of Colombian Ultimate. And that's really the hope for a lot of countries, what you could potentially be, say, in 10 years.
And the TEP tournament that is held in Medellin every fall has really helped bring the top talent to Colombia, so they have these opponents to practice and really get better.
You ever been down to Medellin?
I have not. I've been to Cartagena, Colombia, but I have not been to Medellin.
Great opportunity for Fenix. You play Ultimate in Cartagena?
I did not. I was there for a work trip, but it is
missed opportunity.
It was a 100% missed opportunity. It's a beautiful city, too.
Two cutters in the same spot. It's Ramirez who takes charge. Manu Oseguera into the end zone. It floated too far for Andres Gonzalez. And that's the type of precision that Fenix is obviously lacking in a game against a more experienced foe.
And the wind is not strong, but it does affect when you have those types of passes into the end zone. If it catches it a little bit, it's just going to sail straight out the back like that pass did there.
Here's some pretty good defense, though. The two red-shirted defenders sandwiching the intended target. Sentientes with the D, and Ramirez picks up. Stall count rising, squeezes it through for Sentias.
Such a tight corner. Sentias really captaining the offense so far.
Another opportunity, and falling backwards, it's Ramirez. Did a little backflip on the landing, but Fenix is on the board, and that's got to feel like a huge sigh of relief for the gentleman from Mexico.
They needed to get on the board ASAP, and Sentientes really working hard to get that D, but then also immediately shooting it to Sergio Ramirez to finally get Fenix on the board.
This is a Pool A matchup, and it would be a bigger upset than just about anything you could think of if Revolver did not win this pool. Just looking around at other action around the men's division today. Double wide from Austin, Texas, going 2-0. A pair of 15-10 victories over Ireland Pelt and Finland's Otso. When you see scores like that early in this tournament, do you raise your eyebrows a little bit that a team like Double Wide gave up 10 goals against those inferior opponents?
So I was talking with Jay Frood, one of the captains of Double Wide, before this game about that very thing, and he said, you know, the first half we were really strong, and then the second half he felt they got a little more complacent, and his message to the team was, guys, we've got to play a full game. Like, this is real. This is go time now.
USA's Ring of Fire from Raleigh, North Carolina, surrendered 11 goals to France's Is No Good. Athletic bid in the lane, and there was a foul called. Ring won its second game of the day, 15-7 over Austria. Colony certainly struggled its game against Chalk, but came in an 11-5 run to close it out. Biggest upset of the day in the men's division, as we mentioned, Italy's Cusp over Great Britain's Clapham. Also saw in, I believe, like the 7-10 game overall, Japan's Nomadic Tribe beating Germany's Bad Skid. That just sailing too far out the back. Intended for Brian Castro.
The wind just carrying that. That's kind of becoming sort of the dead zone of the field. Seen a couple passes go out the back so far to that very area.
In the women's division here on the first full day of competition, San Francisco Fury, 2 easy wins. They outscored their opponents 30-9. Boston Brute Squad outscored their opponents 30-13. Great game between Canada's Fusion and Columbia Bamboo. And was that a Callahan?
It was almost a Callahan. It was an interception and then a quick dish.
Just as good as one for Euforia, and they take control. Check it out. Turcotte on the mark, making life difficult for Sentias. On the brink of the end zone, the interception. And Martin Serrano quickly to Turcotte for the score.
Really good spacing from Euforia to just run straight through it, right on the doorstep.
It's an interesting mix of youth and veterans on this Colombian club. They've got teenagers like 19-year-old Camilo Gutierrez, 19-year-old Sergio Castañeda, youngsters like 21-year-old Jose Jimenez, 22-year-old Felipe Diaz, but then the veterans, Mauricio Martinez Choco, the founder of the team in the 52 shirt. One of the great players in Colombia over the past decade. And Other veterans like Julio Cesar Castro at age 34.
And that's really the recipe for a great program, is combining the experience of your veteran players with youth players so that presumably the program can continue on even after the retirement of those older players.
Good hustle on the bid, but Fenix breaks the mark. Pretty good shot from Luis Gonzalez. Every goal a reason to celebrate when you're at the World Championships.
And great field awareness from the Fenix offense, putting up that flick rather than the backhand to be on, have the disc be on the other side from where the defender is. So then there was just so much space for the receiver, showing the love, giving the heart sign with his hands.
Rafael Oseguera, Rafa, the founder of this club, Fenix. They're originally known as the Pumas in Mexico City back in 2003, then transitioned to being known as the Fenix in 2007. Very successful, obviously, in their home country, and that success, they acknowledge, bred over confidence.
Right. They noticed then that they were playing a little bit, just kind of taking for granted and assuming that maybe the rest of the world was kind of on their level, and then had rude awakenings when they would attend tournaments like WUCC. And so that really forced them to challenge themselves and attend. And Texas is a pretty strong ultimate state. It's a big state, but even sectionals has been held in McAllen to be closer to the Mexican teams, so they're able to come.
How close, put that in perspective, how close is that to the border?
It is right on the border, so it's about a 10-hour drive from Dallas, Fort Worth, for example.
You've had a lot of home games in your day. That is a long trek for sectionals for sure.
Yes. But Mexico is in the Texas sectional, and distance was part of what kept a lot of teams from the interior portions of Mexico from competing. So there is a growing ultimate community on the Texas border, with Tlacuaches is the mixed team there. And it's helped grow the women's game as well.
Those cross-field flicks have worked out for both teams so far in this game, and I'm not sure he was in the end zone. Still work to do for Julio Cesar Castro. Resets to Felipe Diaz. Here at the World Ultimate Club Championships, this 8-day event that got going yesterday with day 0. Today is really the first true full day of competition. Just one game yesterday, and the fans certainly got their money's worth, with Groot from the Netherlands falling just short against Boston Wildcard in the mixed division. Electric atmosphere over at the site where the finals will be held on Saturday, broadcast live on Stadium. It would be a tall task for a team like Euforia to play in the finals. But as they say, they'd love to finish in the top 16. They want to be in the mix to be competitive, to maybe make a run to a quarterfinal. And then when you get there, who knows? That is within their reach, and they're off to a good start on their way to a 2-0 day if they can keep it rolling here.
And this is a long tournament, but the benefit of it being so long is that each team plays 2 rounds a day versus a 1-weekend tournament. You could play 4 games on Saturday and then 3 or 4 games on Sunday, and you run out of legs. Now, still, running out of legs could certainly happen here, but at least you have like more extended breaks between that. But it would be huge. Making the top 16 is extremely competitive in this field, and depending on how the bracket shapes up, it's up to them based on how they play in all of these games, their point differentials, to make that road as easy for them as possible.
5-2 with Euforia pulling a third of the way to the mark required. Sergio Ramirez, known as Checo, 38-year-old leader, lofts this one downfield, and it just hung up there too long, intended for the German-born Lennart Vollmer. Impressed, Emmy, with Colombia's quickness and the way they're cutting downfield, especially after a turn.
Yes, they don't waste any time. They're not holding on to the disc for very long either. And I like their combinations of fakes and then throwing the other direction.
There's another break for Colombia. Rodrigo Laverde tossing that score. It's 6-2, Colombia in front over Fenix.
If you want to be a high performer, eat like one. Start with a balanced diet and drink plenty of water. Good nutrition is one of the best ways to boost your mental and your physical health.
Notes on Mike Lee.
He's number 4.
14-4.
About 20 minutes into this pool play game in Pool A in the men's division. If you're not familiar with the format, you finish in the top 2 in your pool, you move into the upper tier power pools. Top 2 teams from each of the 8 pools feed into those sections, and you've got then the middle tier power pools that if you finish 3rd or 4th, you're still alive to make it to the bracket. 24 of the 40 men's teams here will make it into the complex 24-team bracket. It's always a convoluted format when you get so many teams together, and it can get confusing. But just trust us to say, oh, that's a great catch. Trust us to say that. Sebastian Torres. And unfortunately, it's coming back. Travel presumably called a couple throws ago. Athletic play from Torres, who's an actor in Mexico. The answer to Derek Ramsey from the Philippines. And a little conservation of greatness perhaps from Torres, who made the great grab that didn't count and then had the miscue on the easier one.
Isn't that how it works? Oh.
Torres has been playing Ultimate for at least 20 years. He had surgery in December to repair an ACL, and he's back already. This disc in the end zone, and an impressive catch from Joseph Genet. Oh, Genet did that many times for the Montreal Royale in 2016. He had 21 goals in 12 games 2 years ago in the AUDL. And the Montreal native, now in his early 30s, joins the Colombian team and comes up huge over the back of Oseguera.
And just a perfect read, timing that so well. And it looks like Oseguera has a little bit of height advantage on him. But you can just see that positioning and avoids contact as well.
Euforia now within one of taking it to half. Colombian men's team went 5-5 2 years ago in London. Losses to Australia, Great Britain, a surprising setback to Singapore. A USA loss 15-2 in bracket play, a game that was not competitive. And then they fell to Great Britain again. They beat Israel, Spain, Belgium, Switzerland, and Germany. It was, all things considered, for the Colombian men, probably a little disappointing, their overall performance in London. They certainly were respectable, but they have risen to a place in the ultimate context when you expect them to be in the competition for semifinals, and that was certainly not the case. Deep shot goes up. Juan Rodriguez Pina, clap catch, back of the end zone, he's got it.
And the placement of that throw is one that knows your receiver, knows the speed that he's able to bring to that. And it was enough, it was deep enough to where he could go get it, but still short enough to stay in bounds at the back of the end zone. But really great closing speed and extension to get that catch.
Not wasting any time, Holden Cookson, who played college ultimate at the University of Maine, Farmington, joins the Mexican team and fires that assist.
And plays like that are so needed as well to kind of keep the spirits up of the team and boost their confidence. If Euforia scored there, they would have taken half. So by having this keeps that first half alive. It closes the gap a little bit and kind of tells this Phoenix team, you know, we're still in this game.
Wherever you may be, we appreciate you being with us. Evan Lepler, Emmy Fitzgerald, our entire crew here in Ohio. Site of the 2018 World Ultimate Club Championships, a once every 4-year event that was first held in 1989. I should say it's now an every 4-year event. There was a little inconsistency to it, every 3 years, every 2 years, and they switched to every 4 years. And unlike the World Ultimate and Guts Championships, where each country enters one national team in each division, here in the Club Championships, you get multiple teams from each division. We'll see the other Colombian team tomorrow, Comunidad El Oso, and they're off to a great start to the tournament. They beat China's Shanghai team 15-10, and they're currently leading Russian COL 8-3. So they're going to be 2-0 heading into tomorrow, where they will face very tough tests with Clapham and Italy's Cusp.
Both two really strong teams who battled it out today. Clapham probably looking to really improve their performance by being upset. And that's one thing I really like about this tournament is that you have different clubs sometimes from the same country, and they have their own personality. And then you layer that in with the culture of this particular country. And it's just a really fun mix to be able to watch, even just walking around as a spectator.
Trying to take half. Oh, goodness. The elevation from the trailing Mexico player, Luis Gonzalez. Sign him up for a dunk contest. Goodness gracious.
He just elevated for several seconds. And even I think the Euforia player knew I wasn't going to get that. That was so high.
That was the most impressive gravity-defying sequence I've seen in a long time on any Ultimate field. And a foot block. It was deflected and knocked down. Felipe Diaz got a piece of it. 22-year-old has been with Euforia since 2013.
So here's another chance for Euphoria to take half. We've seen a lot of athletic plays from Fenix.
Euphoria is getting whatever reset it wants. Julio Cesar Castro swinging it back around. Turcotte drops the hammer, finds his target. That's Brian Castro to take it to half. Columbia began with 3 consecutive breaks, and they have looked very smooth, going 5 of 8 on break chances to create a 5-goal gap by the half.
There is a place where we are us at our best.
A place where everyone is welcome,
regardless of age, shape, skin color, or anything else that tries to box people in.
A place where we defy the odds.
And even defy gravity.
a place that knows grit, knows grace, knows bright lights, and knows empty bleachers.
A place where we remember to laugh.
Where we learn to trust.
And eventually, even learn to fly.
A place where character, community, and competition
are all as balanced as a disc in flight.
That place isn't in a stadium or on a field.
That place is in the spirit of our players.
Because we don't just play Ultimate, we live Ultimate.
We will be living Ultimate all weekend long here in Ohio with the World Ultimate Club Championships underway. They'll culminate Saturday, July 21st with the 3 championship games, and at the half here on the showcase field, Emmy Fitzgerald. Athleticism from Fenix, but they haven't put it together to be efficient, and Euforia has picked them apart.
Euforia taking advantage of every single opportunity, and if there's a miscue from Fenix, Euphoria is probably not going to give the disc back. And just the fact that they came out so strong to start the first half has really built themselves a fairly comfortable lead. But there's athleticism on both sides. We've seen some really exciting scores from both teams so far.
And Joseph Janae going up high. And then check out this elevation right here from Luis Gonzalez. It is in slow-mo, but he was up there for a long time. You could argue a little dangerous in terms of going over the back. He didn't really have a place to land.
But the height that he got from that jump.
Incredible.
That should be a GIF. That should be made into a GIF and passed around.
You've got the technological savvy for that. I do not. 8-3, Euforia of Colombia leading Fenix of Mexico at the half. We're at the half here in Ohio with Euforia of Colombia leading 8-3. It's the final game of day one. Competition for this Sunday is almost over. Just glimpsing at some of the other divisions and some of the notable scores from throughout the day. It's been a tough day for Vancouver's Traffic in the women's division. They fell to Colombia's Aerosol in their first game 14-12 and then lost on Universe to Japan's WUCC 14-13. So a Canadian team that is usually in the mix starts the tournament 0-2.
I watched that game, Traffic versus WUCC, in my bye round, and it was neck and neck. WUCC actually took half 8-6. Traffic came back to tie it, and really long points. Finally, when I needed to leave to get ready for this broadcast, both teams took a timeout during the same point in around the same part of the field, too, because the passes were so tight, but there was so much energy being expended by both teams just to try and get open.
It was the only game of the day in the women's division, decided by 1 in the mixed division. You feel a little sorry for the men and women from Groot after the heartbreaker last night. They lost on Universe again today to the Russia mixed team 14-13. Had another 1-goal game. Great Britain's Reading Ultimate over Singapore Chuckles 14-13. And in the mixed division, the other Singapore team also suffered a Universe point loss. So Singapore mixed plays very exhilarating games, but not always the right outcomes. Austria Vanguard, the dramatic victor in that one. And how about Slow White from the USA going to the brink against Spain's Moviedisc? 14-13 was the final. Boston Slow White victorious. One more quick timeout, and second half coming up as we wrap up our first day of competition here in Ohio. Euforia and Phoenix, second half on the way.
Catch it early. Help us teach kids about cancer symptoms through Ultimate Frisbee clinics. Join us and speak up.
No kid should have an overuse injury. Limit young ones to 1 sport per season, save sport specialization for later, and cross-train with your kids. Parents and kids will both benefit.
Second half about to begin. Euforia with a 5-goal lead. And to add insult to injury to Mexico's Phoenix, Phoenix has to pull to start the second half. Certainly feels like it's cooled off a little bit since the start of the game. Cloud cover has once again overtaken this massive facility outside of Cincinnati. We're in Lebanon, where it was in the upper 80s, probably gotten to the low 90s today, and that's going to be the case for much of the week. 80s will be pretty standard. Could have a thunderstorm or two over the next few days, but hopefully the more vicious weather stays away.
So certainly Phoenix hoping to get a break to start this second half, much like Euforia did in the first.
They'll have an opportunity to do so after the drop from Santiago Avila.
And Luis Gonzalez, the player that's headed to the end zone, apparently he is a major in physics and is a fanatic of board games. Some of his off-the-field hobbies.
He's not alone in the ultimate community in either of those fields. What's your favorite board game these days?
You know, I'm more of the fun board games like Fishbowl or Taboo or Cranium. But I like the one where it's the matching game.
Interesting.
I kind of break the mold for ultimate players. I have a journalism degree, and I don't have an attention span long enough for those 8-hour board games.
Can Phoenix punch this in? They've got the attention span to be patient near the goal line. And they convert into the hands of Carlos Perez.
And Phoenix did start this second half with a break, looking to capitalize right away, shooting for the end zone, but then using that full width of the field for that break side. Kind of caught Euphoria on their heels a little bit.
See if they can build on it. Good cut for Zeleny. You may recognize Rodrigo Zeleny, especially if you were in Lecco 4 years ago. Zeleny was on the cover of the WUCC magazine.
That's right.
4 years ago in Lecco.
A prized spot. He says Bo Kittredge and Eric Dosberg are his ultimate heroes.
Yeah, we were fortunate to survey many of the players in the field in every division, and one of the questions was, who's your ultimate hero or sporting icon? And it was interesting just to kind of pan all of the responses and not attributing them to anybody, but there were some mentions of Bo and some of the top women's players like Kat Phillips and Anna Nazaroff, and even a 19-year-old like Manuela Cardenas is the hero of many.
Hana Sakai, saw her on there.
I think the athlete in the world that is most popular among Ultimate players is Roger Federer.
Yes.
He was mentioned by many, not just Switzerland natives, but
so
from all over the world.
I would say Roger Federer and Cristiano Ronaldo were the two non-Ultimate players, athletes, that I saw the most.
Just out of the reach of Diaz. Had a fingertip on it. And he tosses his hat away in frustration.
So another break chance for Phoenix. They have to work the entire length of the field.
If they were to score here, it would get a little interesting. A little pressure for Euphoria for the first time. This is a good-looking shot. Hauled in by Gonzalez. And don't look now, but Mexico's Phoenix has registered back-to-back breaks. To begin the second half, they were 0 for 3 on break chances in the first half. They are 2 for 2 since halftime. And this game has gotten considerably more suspenseful.
And it's almost like they're mirroring a little bit of what Euphoria did in the first half, except doing it more quickly. The first couple points, the second point, especially of the game, was really, really long. But Phoenix not wasting any time and really recognizing those matchups and the spacing. And that throw is so well put. And then you have that nice patience and continuation to get that score.
Yeah, Phoenix has certainly settled down and timed some of their cuts better. And it has changed the game dramatically and put a little pressure on the Colombians and the Canadians who play for Colombia.
Exactly. We also learned that Aaron Lesser, he's number 9 on Phoenix. He holds dual citizenship in the United States and Brazil.
Yep. Played for Brown University collegiately. Been with Phoenix now for 3 years, 25 years old. So what looked like could be a runaway, and still could be, has gotten interesting with Euphoria feeling perhaps a different sense of urgency, having seen their 5-goal halftime lead quickly trimmed to 3.
And that's why it's so important for teams, if you're down, really not to give up, because Ultimate is a game of runs. It doesn't happen often, but we've seen some crazy, crazy comebacks of a lot of points. But something like a 3 or 4 point deficit, if it's early enough in the game, it is possible to overcome it if you do it quickly.
No one pressuring the dump, so an easy reset. Jose Jimenez for Rodrigo Laverde. Diaz slowly working up this near sideline. And that's a pick.
This will be a very telling score if Euforia is able to convert here, gets the lead back up to 4. But that patience in the red zone, can never take it for granted.
Euforia trying to finish the day 2-0, whereas Fenix looking to salvage a win. Phoenix has already matched its scoring output from their first game when they fell 15-5 to the opening opponent, Australia's hot chili. But now it's 9-5. A bit of back to the status quo, turnover free hold, culminating with Felipe Diaz in the end zone.
So Euforia can breathe a bit of a sigh of relief to hold after Phoenix goes on that 2-0 break train to start the game. Starts the second half.
10-5, 9-5 is the score. We'll get that fixed. Euforia getting ready to pull, leading by 4. 44 minutes approximately until the cap. The whiff-diff cap rules, basically when the cap goes off, you add 1 to the higher score, and that is it. There's no losing team scores and the game is over. The winning team always has to score to win, and there was contact in the stack. Middle of the field, right near the whiff-diff logo, and has left a Phoenix player shaken up.
His teammate doing some stretching with him. As Luis Gonzalez.
Cheeky Scuber, Perez. Phoenix is moving the disc, but Euforia is doing a nice job of not making things particularly easy. And that float throw contested, but caught, and Phoenix is back within 3. If Gonzalez didn't come to that disc, it would have been a turnover.
And The patience that we've seen from Fenix that has really paid off is something that has been kind of inconsistent so far in the game, but it does take some athletic plays and that continuation to convert. But Fenix probably hoping that they showed their performance in the second half a little bit earlier in the first half. We would have a completely different game.
Nice job by the left-handed Gonzalez. Asked who his ultimate mentors, idols are. He answered a member of the Austin Soul, who is the entire reason for the Austin Soul fan club sold out. They live to support Andrew Walsh, and Gonzalez is a big fan of the Walsh Claw. He's also said that he looks up to Masahiro Matsuno, in part because he's a lefty. And it is the world's loss that the Buzz Bullets are not here, because watching Matsuno play in London was one of the great highlights of that experience.
It was absolutely phenomenal. Andrew Walsh, though, is at this tournament, playing with Austin Double Wide, and he was watching this game in the first half.
Crafty little flip. Castro to Turcotte. Thought about winding up. Instead, goes the short way. Julio Cesar Castro. Diaz gets it further. And into the end zone goes Felipe Diaz. And Euforia, after surrendering back-to-back breaks, appears to have steadied the ship, maintaining the 4-goal lead at 10-6.
Do you want to avoid overuse injuries? Cross-train. Get your exercise routine out of a routine and mix it up with a variety of activities. Your muscles, tendons, and joints will thank you later.
Colombia Euforia from Bogota, 5 of 9 on break chances in this game. And nice job on this most recent possession, keeping the low throw alive, and then Diaz up the line to punch it in. Diaz started playing Ultimate in 2010. He was just 14 years old. He moved to Bogota 5 years ago. Played Junior Worlds in 2014. Went to London with the Colombian team in 2016, and then was in Perth this past January. He's filling up his passport with stamps from all around the world playing Ultimate. And Emmy, that was one of the things that I marveled at when I really started to understand the international scope of the game and talk to players from around the world about all the different places they've traveled for Ultimate. I mean, we feel really fortunate to be here. I've been fortunate to be at the recent championships in France and London and Dubai. It is truly remarkable that the world of Ultimate has come together so many times the way it has.
And you see it grow more and more and more. And it is neat. You hear talking to players who are in their late 20s who say, oh, well, I've been to 12 different countries on 4 different continents with Ultimate.
Jose Jimenez in pursuit, and he elevates in between a couple defenders and then flips it into the end zone for Juan Sebastian Perez. And another break for Euforia, and it's 11-6.
So incredibly athletic to track that down. And this is the stride that Euforia The last point, and then here, the stride that Euphoria had been struggling to find so far in this first half, but they're at their best when they don't hold on to the disc for a very long time, and they're putting up big shots into the end zone looking for athletic receivers. He's sandwiched between two defenders.
I think pretty much every box, whether it's throwing precision or timing the disc, reading it, strategy, game plan, Euphoria checks the boxes in this game against their Central American rivals from Mexico.
And this is that kind of momentum that they'll really need to carry as they go into the rest of the tournament. And if they look to meet their goal of finishing in the top 16, the matchups are not going to get any easier as the tournament goes on. So then really being able to dial into your game and play at your level regardless of your opponent is absolutely crucial.
Gonzalez back to Cookson. Moves the disc to Sentius. Francisco Sentius discovered the sport of ultimate in Madison, Wisconsin. And that's a smooth turnover free hold for Phoenix. Initiated at the start by Sentius and then converted easily once they broke through the initial wave of pressure.
And they just moved that so smoothly through, able to get open and get that score there. There was a throw, probably 2 throws earlier, kind of went over the head of the intended receiver, floated, but that position allowed him to have enough space to catch it. And that continuation, it is just hard to stop a defender or to stop the offense as you're already moving through. So Sentius, again, really championing the offense.
Game to 15. Euphoria has a 4-goal lead and needing 4 goals to win. Phoenix would need to score 8 of the next 11, which is a tall task against this Bogota-based squad. Euphoria first played in Worlds back in 2010, and they finished 18th in Prague, then 26th 4 years ago in Italy. Floaty throw kept alive by Castro.
And the wind has all but completely died down.
It really has. During round 4 of the day, it got sunny and windy. And now it's back to being overcast like it primarily was this morning. And the wind has died almost entirely.
It's really humid out here, but shouldn't be something that is surprising for either team. Although Bogota is in a mountainous region that is a lot drier than, for example, Cartagena, where I was. You take a shower, you don't really dry off even after.
Sure. You see some semblance of a stack from Euphoria on the stoppage here. They will reassemble. Andre Gonzalez on the mark. Quick flip. Dan Turcotte looking for another hammer, and it is good. 12-7 Euphoria.
And that hammer placement right into the bread box. That's exactly what you want there. Euphoria, you can see, so excited about that connection, doing a little bit of a secret handshake there among the teammates. Martin Serrano just in the right place to catch that disc.
I've been working on those handshakes for 4 years. So Euphoria within 3. Camilo Buitrago preparing to pull. You don't see the 08 that often, at least around these parts.
And if you look at the font of the jersey, there was an 08 and then there was an 86. And the 8 and the 0 looked shockingly similar.
I wore number 8 in college, and just think how much slower I would have been if I had a 0 on the back too.
It's just, you don't need that extra weight.
Not at all.
I think I was number 8 in elementary school basketball, actually.
The good old days.
Yes.
Fenix moving the disc. Euphoria poaching off the handlers to try to clog up throwing lanes. Stall count rising, forced to fire it, and the jump ball is won by Euphoria.
That was the bailout, but Euphoria already fast charging.
Nice break. Jorge Ramirez sold out on the mark going down, but he got it off regardless. And now Laverde flips it into the end zone. And just like that, Euphoria within 2 of closing this one out. It's now 12-7. Columbia 13-7, beg your pardon. Columbia 7 of 12 on break chances in the game. And they're on their way to a 2-0 Sunday at Worlds.
Heat illness strikes kids and adults alike during summer workouts. Watch for muscle cramps, fever, nausea, headache, weakness, or feeling faint. Act fast to get cool and get fluids.
Euphoria trying to close this game out. Coming up tomorrow morning, starting at 9 a.m. Eastern Time, we'll have the mixed divisions, Australia Frisky and Germany's Haslik Erdferkel, and also a women's game that everyone's really looking forward to. Columbia Revolution, the women from Medellin, will take on the Japanese team Mud that had the dramatic win over Traffic earlier today. That's a lively first round of action at 9 a.m. At 11 o'clock Eastern Time, Hong Kong Neon versus Argentina. Two countries that you haven't seen as much of, presumably. I've had the privilege of playing some Ultimate in Hong Kong, which was a great experience. Also Shinsu Luz from Japan and Molata Filipinas from the Philippines. commencing our day. 10 more games tomorrow. 2 games for each of the 5 rounds. As our coverage will continue all week long from here at the World Ultimate Club Championships. Streaming, airing on the Olympic Channel, streaming on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. Check out the World Flying Disc Federation on social media and the official website of the tournament for updated results, WUCC2018.com. And you can be like me, hitting reload every couple seconds to see the next scores populate in the boxes.
It's so exciting to see all of the different matches happening at the same time.
It's a great throw from Holden Cookson, and he finds his target, Francisco Sentius. A couple of guys that have both played in the U.S. Cookson in Maine, Sentius in Madison, Wisconsin.
And Sentius has typically been the thrower in this Phoenix offense. This time, the receiver reads it all the way in. Of course, pumped up about it.
Euforia, even with a considerable lead, still laying out, not giving up on this play whatsoever. But just a on-target delivery from Cookson, where only Sentius could get there. Does Phoenix have another run in them? They are called Phoenix after all.
They rise from the ashes, so they are never quite defeated if they're truly playing to their name.
That's the idea. But facing still a 5-goal deficit at 13-8. In Pool B, Chevron Action Flash has bounced back from its earlier, or I should say they've improved to 2-0. They beat Pelt by 6, and they beat Relampagos from the Dominican by 8. So a good day for one of the 2 men's teams from GB. Not so much for Clapham,
right.
But Chevron, often considered a little brother in Britain Ultimate. As this disc sent in the direction of Felipe Diaz, didn't necessarily exercise the patient muscle, but regardless, he finds Martin Serrano, and it's 14-8.
That is a trust throw right there for that continuation, and a lot of times does not work out. It looked like the defense too might come out and bid for it, but that is one where you know your receiver, you know the speed that he can bring, and just throw that on out to space. So much athleticism, too, with that one-handed grab.
And both these teams have made some impressive acrobatic moves. How many goals do you think Euphoria is going to get against Revolver? What's the over-under?
I will say...
Keep in mind, Revolver gave up 6 goals today to Mooncatchers and 6 to Hot Chili.
So I'll say 7. I'm going to say 15-7.
Euphoria gave up 10 to Mooncatchers. You're calling 15-7.
You heard it here, folks. Oh, a little bit of different look on defense from Euphoria.
Up 14-8. I mean, there's the saying, never lose without throwing zone. I don't know if it's never win without throwing zone, but it appears they wanted to get this point, try it out, and that's through the hands of David Gonzalez. Can Columbia finish it up here? This would do it. A pack of everyone in the end zone, near the sideline, and out of bounds as the disc got hauled in by Diego Baracaldo.
I would call that a hospital pass, except that the grouping of players just kept moving more and more and more to the left versus just standing there looking up at the sky.
So Fenix is still alive. Crossfield Scuba into dangerous territory, not sensing that wing defender. It's Buitrago who gets credit for the block. He wants to throw the game-winning goal, you can just tell. Instead takes the easier shot. Euforia on the doorstep. And the team from Bogota has started 2-0 at WUCC. 15-8. They dispatch Fenix from Mexico. The big tests will be tomorrow for Euforia, where they will face Hot Chili and the #1 seed Revolver.
And except for a little blip there at the beginning of the second half, Euforia really held control of this game. Even when they had turns, they were so forceful to answer back right away.
Back-to-back breaks for Fenix to start the second half, but those were their only 2 breaks of the game. They go 2 of 9 in break chances. Euforia 8 of 14. And a solid performance from the Colombians as they take it by a final of 15-8. Again, our Monday schedule. You're not going to get much work done tomorrow.
Just set up the dual monitors. Just go ahead and take care of that right now.
Well, you need 3 monitors because there are 2 ultimate games, and presumably you might have some responsibilities. But Australia and Germany in the mixed division, Colombia and Japan in the women's division to start the day at 9 a.m. Eastern. Hong Kong, Argentina, Japan, and the Philippines mixed at 11. 2 more mixed games at 1. Great Britain and India, Canada and Singapore, and then later in the day we'll see CUSP from Italy, Comunidad al Oso from Colombia. Be interesting to compare and contrast Oso and Euforia, because Euforia certainly looked good today. They take it 15-8 over Fenix. A spirited game between these 2 teams, and we will see how each of them fares as the week progresses. But for day 1 here in Ohio at the World Ultimate Club Championships, it is time for us to say adios. For Emmy Fitzgerald, this is Evan Lepler. We'll talk to you tomorrow morning here from the Buckeye State as Worlds 2018 continues all week long.